good afternoon guys, or good evening guys. It's 6:15 p.m. Today is for April 25th and today is Monday. So let's start with the pre-market notes, right? So here is a closing remark from Friday. So this is very important, so those of you who are not part of the subscription or member, right, remember these levels. I may change it, but for now just these are the levels for sellers, and lower levels are for buyers. Okay, so yes, sellers will have to keep it below 43.10, 43.13, 43.27 today, conservatively, aggressively below 42.60, right? And price did stayed below 42.60 till end of the day, and then as usual after 3 p.m. the shuffling of contracts happened, and then price went higher above 60, right? But the idea was aggressive sellers below 60, right? As long as price is below these levels, we will favor shorts, sellers 100%. Short breaking above 42.60, price may go higher during intraday in the small time frame, and it may show you some bullish price action, right? So I also covered this scenario also. If it goes higher, buyers will be active, right? Now when I wrote these things, the idea was if it goes higher right of the open, then buyers would be active, and it will show you the bullish price action, and then it's up to us to decide whether to take longs or ignore longs, based on certain criteria that we discussed in Discord already, right? That some divergence or something, right? Other things that we already discussed. So wait for those shorts, based on those conditions. So technically I will not go long as long as price is below 43.87 or it is not hitting the levels discussed in the Friday's closing remark for reactionary long, right? So I'm giving you both options. Below 43.87, my main goal is to short, right? But while on the way down, if it hits one of the Friday's closing remark levels, I may go long, which I did actually. 42.06.10, which is, see, we'll reevaluate the short idea, right? So 10, so at 08, 07.50, that's where I went long. Okay, sellers will have to keep it below 770, 780 in general, conservatively below 579, 509. So price at the end, at the closing, it tried to come close to this level, right? So technically conservative sellers are still there, okay, going into tomorrow. Aggressively below 333, 356. Now you can draw a line here and see how many times price got rejection from this area, right? That was my morning short, right from 356 in NQ. Now for rest of the info, I had already put notes in the chart itself, in Discord chart sharing, right? So all the notes were there. Technically I will not go long as long as price is below 770, right? Unless it is hitting the same idea as ES, hitting the levels below 250, today's low in NQ, close to it, right? That was also reevaluate level, see that? And ES 42.10, see? So, but I choose not to take long here in NQ, okay? Russell, I'm not gonna discuss because I didn't bother to look, right? But you can check this out. Dow, you can check this out, right? Crude and gold, I said not to trade, right? Dream number 272, 201. Okay, so now let's go into the chart. So let's start with here, right? So now you remember the pre-market notes, right? The levels, the importance, and all these things about the lower support, this 10 area, right? This 10, 12 to 6 area, basically 40 to 10 that was the area I gave, right? NQ 250. Which is right around somewhere into this morning low, right? That was the area also. And ES 40 to 10, right? Evaluate the short idea, right? So of the open, if you look at it, price gap down below yesterday's low in NQ and ES both, right? NQ was holding this dream number of the open. See, dream numbers are the dotted lines. They are very powerful. Today this 272 was also green line, right? Green dream number. And this was a blue dream number. So anyway, forget the color, but dream numbers are important, right? So price was trading above both dream number, right? So based on that theory, technically buyers are there. But here there was a note in the pre-market note. See that? Aggressive area for sellers to keep it below today, right? So when price NQ went higher here, right? I took the short at 356, right? And then I put my stop few points above just in case, right? And then I was watching it, that if it goes little bit higher, I will bail out, something like that. And then I will reevaluate it. If it can try to go down, I will short it. Okay, so that was the idea. And yes, I was observing this thing here. Okay, so let me zoom it a little bit here so you can see it. Right around here. Okay, so yes, went down of the open, right? But that was not a short here at 44. You have to observe it because NQ was holding this same thing, right? If NQ decides to go higher, ES may reverse, right? So there is no trade right of the open. After 10 minutes or after 7-8 minutes, you see NQ straight hit this aggressive seller area, right? At that point, it looks like, based on the AD and everything else, looks like NQ wants to go higher, correct? ES was also reversing and back up to this area by that time, right? So looks like ES also wants to fill the gap. Okay, so that was the idea at that time. But still I took the short in NQ and not the ES the first time, like let's say here. So when ES was at this candle, I took the short in NQ because NQ hit 356, right? Since it was aggressive area of sellers, it's a super aggressive, right? It's aggressive area. So since it was a do or die for sellers, it's aggressive area, right? And it was a morning thrust. NQ always does back and forth, right? That's the idea in the morning. And since NQ has more sellers in it compared to ES overall, it may get a rejection here. But you have to monitor it very carefully because price was coming from dim number up, right? So first time 356, I shorted it. Price went above like 2-3 points, 5 points, 10 points, something like that. I bailed out considering all this thing. Immediately when I see a little bit chop, this I'm talking about like 30-second time gap or 1 minute, right here. I immediately went in again, So first time 4-5 point loss, immediately I went back in, at 350 or so or 352 or so, So I also gave that trade also somewhere. I think it's somewhere. Where is it? In my Discord, But anyway, so here I shorted it, and this was a good short. Why? Because there was another reason, So ES also I took the short later on right here at this candle top. Why? Because then I saw this divergence, right? Remember we talked about divergences also, right? On the way up, you wait and see for a divergence or some kind of confluence to short if you see price lies going higher, right? So this was a short right here, because of this divergence was also there. Momentum was below zero. NQ was hitting this resistance also. So these two shorts were good short. I only took this one, and this one I took it here, right, in ES. Then price went down, right, and then it went down below morning low, right. So here you should consider taking profit for this short because morning buyers were there. That's the first sign. And NQ was still around this V wave, right? So NQ being NQ, we can always do back and forth, right? Considering last 3 days down move, we were expecting some kind of pullback also, and we have to be careful, right? As per morning discussion. So take profit here, right? Then you have to just watch, right? And then NQ being NQ, it chopped around back and forth, right? So at this point when NQ popped back up close to this high, right here, there was no trade here actually. I didn't show you right here, right? This buyers, they got trapped. So when this bounce happened again, right, you see this internals, they were trending down. So there is divergence, right? Here you can take a short again back to this somewhere in the middle and bail out few points. This is still 40 points. You get it and that. Then you have to wait. Then there is no trade in NQ unless it breaks out or breaks down, right? When this breakout happen, you can take this going with the flow trade, which was right around here, right here. That one I took it, this one, because I only trade until 11, right? So this one I took it, bail out at 443 and done. Okay. Yes, at the same time you can take this trade which I gave you in Discord around this. If you want to take it, because ES usually I don't take a chance, NQ I do, but ES I have to be careful. But here I said the ideal stop would be below 21, which is here. An aggressive stop would be below this low. So you go long right here. Why? Because look at the momentum now, it's switching from above below 0 and then now it's trying to go higher, right? ED also started trending higher, NQ broke out, right? So it is like you are taking this trade because of NQ. Then most likely it's going to do gap fill, most likely scenario. So you bail out at the gap fill and then wait, because at that time there was still divergence going on, right? So here you bail out at 443, right? And then you wait. Then ideally what you want to say is when price comes down here, you want this thing to hold, right? Because it's a balance breakout, right? And then touched here, came down, right? And then you see it, AD was holding here, right? It was not like tanking, right? So it's kind of a mini divergence, bullish divergence here. See that here? First time here, AD was here, right? Now it is here. Ideally, if it is too weak, then you would see this thing going down, right? So, and also in Discord also I said this 29, it has to hold it, right? And I also took the trade at 29, saying 29 should hold and it may go up to 41. That is what the statement I used. So 29 to 41, this was a long, bail out at 41. You can even short at 41 if you want to, but ideally you do not want to do that now, because it's a range bound price action, right? Price can easily go here a little bit higher and then come down. So this short you don't want to take it. You can take this long 29 to 41, which I took it. I also shared this thing in Discord also. NQ. So there are two different ways, both has a different trades at different time. NQ, once people went long here, ideally you do not want to see NQ coming down below 404 and move higher. The moment it came down here, yes, obviously people are going to buy it here, but at that time, if it went again here with ES41, see that, and then it got a rejection here, correct? So ideal flow was bounce from here and go higher. If something other than that happens and it takes out this low, you can short it back to this VWAP and bail out, So that was a trade in NQ, but ES there was no trade technically, but there was another trade here also. It's just you have to sniff out the trades here because of the way it was chopping around with bearish divergence, bullish divergence, right? So here, as usually, when it fills the gap and the trend is also downtrend in price action, it fills the gap, it comes down, right? So this trade, after it took out this morning high, it should have held it here, this low. If it fails here, you can take a short right here with NQ. See that? Back to this VWAP, you can go long, bail out here and done, right? So by that time it was almost 11 o'clock, so I stopped trading. I didn't bother to look at the price after that, right? But if you are trading it, let me walk you through it, right? So once it broke down below here, right, and then it bounced back up, again it came to this dream number, again bias stepped in, right? Remember, our main focus is the short, not the longs. Longs we are only taking with the right time, at the right time with the right condition. It's a breakout one, pull back, all this thing. So here when price went down at 272, right, and then came back up right here, right, you can see this AD was not still below 0, correct? And since this was a good level 356, correct, it broke out above it. Now it went below it, came back up at 1130. You can see this thing also, which is this circle. See that confluence area in ES, right? So you take a short there, back to this low, and you bail out. Okay, ES NQ, same thing here, right? After this point, it's chopping around, and most likely it's going to continue doing that. So ideally, I would suggest no trade until price goes little bit lower or higher in both of them together, right? So here ES made a lower attempt, but NQ did not. See that? So no trades there, right? Now you can take a trade here, which is there was one trade here, I remember later on. I think somewhere, I forgot where was the trade. Maybe it's here. at this low, you know, which is, yes, this one. See that this balance, okay, I'm talking about breakdown, pullback, short here, right? And now you expect continuation. Same thing here also, entire balance broke down, pullback, here you short, right? But the idea is it has to continue. The moment it goes above it, you bail out, right here. See that? Here also you bail out, right? And then you wait. Now at this point, you know it's a failed breakdown, both of them. So no more shorts until price goes way higher into good resistance with some kind of divergence or exhausted. Then you take a short, or you just wait for a long setup in between if you want to. But you have to, it has to be ideal setup. You know, breakout kind of, not pullback kind of this long, right? See, this is clear, right, that they are defending VWAPs but no longs, you know. And then here when it broke out, pullback, you go long. Here also same thing. See, level to level, here up after this balance breakout, pullback, go long, bail out here, right, which is here the Globex high, right? And then you wait. Then this scary pullback happen, like, you know, at 3 p.m. right, as usual, tank, right, go down. Here also go down, right? But here, see this area, it defended entire morning, and now it broke out and pulled back here. First time buyers will defend this area back to at least this Globex high. This one you can trade it. That's why it's a different arrow, because after 3 p.m. there is no guarantee that it's gonna bounce. It may bounce, it may not bounce, since it was a balancing day, right? So up to here it may go, you know, after that it's a bonus time. So NQ, same thing, you know, like this. Here you can go long, but NQ being NQ, you do not want to mess around after 3 p.m. Yes, here you can go long. NQ, there is no long. NQ, there was a short here below this, back to this, and you bail out. That be all for today.